Hey, good afternoon. My name's Dustin Spittler. Thank you for tuning in to Faith Fuel Devotionals, where we take time just to talk about the Bible and get a little bit of encouragement to get down the road of life day by day. And here I am sitting in front of my bookshelf. And the reason I'm doing this is to make myself look smarter. You know, you watch the news and people are often sitting in front of their bookshelves or something like that, and it makes them appear more intelligent. I hope that works for me because I am not the smartest person in the world. And I need to read a lot to keep myself informed and keep myself updated. Another reason I sit in front of this bookshelf is not only to make myself look smart, but it's a reminder to read good books. And we need good books. The Bible is the best book, but also there are good books out there that can encourage us in our faith. And here's a good book that I recommend, and I've talked about it before. I recommend every Christian should read this book called Poles Apart. This book is written by Robert and Jenny Bax, and they are Robert is a pastor in New Zealand, and his wife Jenny experiences and has fought bipolar disorder. And maybe you know somebody in your family, maybe you know somebody in your life that struggles with mental disease. This book is very helpful to help us as Christians understand the battle and the struggle that they go with, and they log their journeys, their struggles. This book not only uses scriptural references to help, but it also gives medical references. It also talks about a lot of things that, you know, some people are maybe afraid to talk about. It's very well balanced, okay? And it helps you to have a complete picture of the mental illness problem. And I recommend every Christian read this book. It'll be a help to you as they kind of show their journey through working through it. And so keep that in mind. All right, we're in James chapter 4, and we've been talking about dealing with the dangers of wealth. Last week we talked about the woe of wealth, woe number one. If you give yourself over to trusting into riches, the danger is you could ruin yourself. Today I want to talk about woe number two, and which is really the ruin of relationships can take place when we put money as number one. And as we go through this book of James, it's all about how we treat one another and our relationship with God and our maturity in the scriptures, helping us to become the right person. You don't want to be that person. You know what I mean? When you talk about, oh, there's that person. That person that has this problem, that it can't get along with certain people, that has these personality traits that grind on others. You know, I don't want to be that person. We all know who that person is in our lives, or that person that's just hard to be around. We need to be people that get along with everybody as much as possible, that can mesh and be an encouragement to people as much as possible. And the book of James shows us things to prevent us from being that person that is difficult. And God can make us one that is flexible, moldable, and usable in all areas and walks of life. That's who we need to be. And one of those areas is how we deal with money and how we deal with trust issues with things other than God, how we keep God number one, because we do not need money to ruin our relationships with other people. Let me read James chapter number 5 and verse number 4. Make a few comments. Our time's done. Here we go. James 5:4 says, Behold, the hire of laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you is kept back by fraud, crieth. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of the Sabbath. Couple things when it comes to ruining of relationships and how money can ruin our human relationships. First of all, we see the shortchanging of man taking place. And doesn't this make sense? If we're greedy, if we're selfish, if it's all about me having more and more and more, there can be the tendency to take or to allow less and less to be to those that work for us, work with us, or are who are around us. The shortchanging of man. And here's the example. There's a businessman that James talks about here. He's talking about a businessman who has laborers, people that work for him, and they are working for this man, and he is shortchanging them. He is depriving them. The word kept back by fraud means he has left them destitute. They have labored, they have worked, they have broke their backs for this guy, and he doesn't care about them. He's only using them to enhance his wealth. They are just tools in his hand. And that's what happens when we allow sin and greed to rule us. We view people in a way that dehumanizes them. Okay? When I dehumanize people and I don't see them as people made in the image of God, I'll either see them as a tool to get what I want, or I will see them as an obstacle that is keeping me from what I want. How do you view people? Are they just tools or are they just walls? Or are they people made in the image of God who need love and care and consideration? When I'm trying to get something from somebody, I don't need to turn them into a tool. That's not how we need to do it. And these people are being shortchanged because of a greedy boss wanting them to do something for him, and not, I don't care about how they feel. They're just my laborers. Okay, they're beneath me. All right, that's not how we need to be. Yet, haven't you ever been treated like that before? Just viewed as a number, just viewed as a hand, just viewed as someone just to complete a task. Who cares about what you think? You're working for the boss, and he's got to get what he wants. Okay, don't be that person. Don't be that person. And here's why you should not be that person, because if you shortchange man, you're going to stir up God against you. Verse number 4, because it says, the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of the Sabbath. God hates injustice. God despises it when we use people as a tool or where we use people as an obstacle in our life. And he hears the cries of them that are being treated unfairly. Remember back to Abel and Cain. Cain was seeing Abel as an obstacle in his life. He was jealous of him, and he took matters into his own hands, viewed his brother improperly, and killed him. And then when he did that, God came to Cain and said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. What does that teach us about the Lord? God hears the cries of injustice when they take place. If you use people like a tool, if you use people like an obstacle just to move out of your way, and you become that person, God is watching, and he's going to hear and respond to their cries when injustice takes place. We got to be careful. The name here, Lord of the Sabbath, or Lord Sabaoth, if you will, simply means Lord of the hosts, Lord of the armies of God. Don't make God march against you because you're treating his people wrong so I can get something for myself. The danger of wealth. It will ruin you and it will ruin your relationship with others. Beware. Have a great day. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in.